Well, that certainly was a beautiful property at Roslyn Park. Now, joining us today on the phone is Cameron Cusher. Cameron is the Senior Analyst for RP Data. Welcome, Cameron. Greg and I have got a few questions we'd like to ask you, so I'm going to get started with the Queensland marketplace. After all the flooding they've experienced over the last few weeks, and now of course we've got the cyclone coming in, how do you see the real estate market up there?
Well, the market in Queensland wasn't performing particularly well pre this cyclone or prior to the flooding we saw in Brisbane. In fact, over the year, property values in Brisbane were down by about 1%. A lot of people have been suggesting that prices in the flood-affected areas may fall by as much as 30, 40, 50%. We're certainly not expecting that to happen. There's not really quality, reliable data back to the 74 floods, and obviously that would be the best thing to compare it with. But if we have a look at some of the other natural disasters like Cyclone Larry, the Melbourne Black Saturday bushfires, and even the Canberra bushfires back in 2003, they didn't really have that much of an effect on house prices. So what we're expecting is a lot of those areas that flooded on the river, close to the river, premium residential property markets. My take is if you live in one of those areas, you've got to expect that at some point it could flood if you're that close to the river. So I don't expect too much of an impact on prices there. Where I do see some problems, those areas further away from the river that are in low-lying areas which did flood. I mean, we've seen a lot of coverage about areas like Goodna, and there's plenty of other examples across Brisbane of areas which are low-lying, not necessarily close to the river, but maybe close to a creek, and they flooded. And I think those are the areas where we're going to see some impact on prices. People are going to find it much harder to sell those properties, and if they do wish to sell, they're probably going to have to discount by quite a bit. But generally what I think is the next 12 months we're going to see a lot of people just focusing on rebuilding and fixing up their properties. And in those areas there's probably going to be a lot less transactions coming through the system because people are either just staying put or fixing up their home.
Yeah, that's what we would expect, I would suppose. I mean, I guess it's just getting the people to rebuild their lives, and they're not thinking about their real estate at the moment, it's just rebuilding their lives. I know that Greg's got some questions for you around the South Australian market. Greg?
Yeah, Cameron, quick question for you. SA was recently nominated as the most livable city within Australia. I just was wondering from your viewpoint what that might mean with regards to people looking at the state as a preferred place to live, investors obviously looking at the excellent opportunities with regards to purchase and return, and whether or not this particular spotlight will be of a benefit to the overall marketplace.
Well, Adelaide's been a fairly consistent performer. Generally it's tracked along fairly closely to the results we've been seeing for the capital city markets. And Adelaide is certainly by far and away much more affordable place to live than most of the other capital cities. If we look at median dwelling prices at the moment, you're looking at $387,000 in Adelaide. Now the next most affordable capital city market outside of Hobart is Brisbane at $435,000. So Adelaide really does have that competitive advantage in pricing. I guess the biggest issue for Adelaide is creating the jobs, and we're seeing some good projects coming through into the Adelaide market. The defence projects, and potentially the Olympic Dam mining. The expansion happening there. That would be a good thing for the Adelaide market, but. Certainly, I think that many people realise that Adelaide is a good, consistent performer and doesn't tend to fluctuate as much as some of those other markets. So, it may become more and more attractive for those investors. It would probably be good to see population growth into the state a little bit faster than it is at the moment, but over time that may come, especially if we continue to see the big disconnect between prices in Adelaide and prices in some of those other cities.
Cameron, thank you so much for your time. It's always great to have you on the line with us and discussing what's going on in the current marketplace. We look forward to talking to you in a month's time.
Thanks, Mandy and Greg.
Thank you.
Now for more Behind the Blinds.